let's go ahead and come onto our backs. You can have your legs out long, or if you'd rather have your knees bent, your feet flat, that's also an option too. If you'd like to place something underneath the head, supporting underneath the neck, that's also an option for you here. And then know that you can add any kind of movements that might feel good for you. Any swaying of the hips, nodding of the head, movement of the fingers, or even movement of the toes. You can shift the shoulder blades, maybe they need to come closer together or maybe further apart, creating a little more space between the two, or maybe not. Again, just kind of decide what feels good for you. And then from there, decide if you'd like to open or close your eyes, find a nice relaxing place for your arms. And then I just want you to start to notice your breath here. Maybe begin to notice your thoughts, or just notice any things going on in the body, any sensations, any tension. Just kind of analyzing and taking notice of what arises when you start to notice. Notice where you feel your breath, where you notice it more. Maybe it's in the inhale or maybe the exhale. Just pinpoint any areas throughout the body that you start to notice as you begin to settle in and find some stillness, but also beginning to notice the breath. Feel the connection of the body onto the mat or to the floor, whatever the surface is beneath you. Just acknowledge any sounds you may be noticing or hearing. Take notice of the temperature of the room, the temperature of the body. And then tapping back into your breath, just noticing your inhales, notice the low belly. Notice the chest. Notice your exhales. The backside of your body, maybe even the backs of your head. And then start to breathe into your belly a little more. So the idea of just moving the belly up and down as you breathe. Noticing with each inhale as your body and your belly begins to expand and reach out that it's your body's way of relaxing. And then as you exhale, you begin to notice this engagement, this slight strengthening feeling throughout the core, maybe even some stability, some strength throughout the back. And just continue here, inhaling and exhaling, moving the breath in and out. And noticing the belly as it begins to move up and down, also out and in. And again, this idea that as you inhale, creating this relaxing feeling for your belly. And then as you exhale, this slight engagement that naturally happens as you release the breath. Notice of your ribs here, the movement you may or may not feel. And also in the chest and the shoulders. And just for a few rounds here, think about inhaling, allowing the belly to rise, the ribs, and the chest. And then as you exhale, allow the chest to release, relax down, the ribs, the belly to draw in, that slight engagement, that stability of the low back. this relaxing feeling of the belly as we inhale. And once again, noticing this slight engagement and strengthening as we exhale. So bringing the feet flat onto the mat, knees can be bent. They can be about hip width or even a little bit wider if you want to wiggle your toes a little bit. And on your next inhale, I want you just to kind of find some stillness here on your back. Allow the belly to expand and reach out. And then as you exhale, I want you to draw your right knee in towards your belly. You can use your hands if you'd like to grab a hold of the thigh, or you can just actively hug the knee in towards the belly, towards the torso. As you inhale, the belly expands, the foot draws down, and then I want you to go ahead and switch sides. So you're going to inhale, allow some stillness here, feel the expansion of the belly, and then as you exhale, I want you to draw the knee in towards the belly. Inhale, allow the left foot to go down, and exhale, draw the right knee in. So it might take a moment or two to kind of figure out the breadth of the movement. Each inhale is the movement of the leg, and each exhale is the drawing in of the leg. So let me rephrase that. So each inhale brings the foot down towards the mat. Each exhale brings the opposite foot off the mat, drawing that knee in towards the belly. And you might be going a little bit faster, a little bit slower, and that's okay, but just think about this inhale as you move the foot down. Exhale as you hug the foot in. And then on your next side, I want you to hold the foot in. Maybe you bring the hands if you haven't already. And you might even hug the leg out further towards the side. So if you have the right leg in, it'll be further out towards the right. If you have the left leg in, bring the leg a little bit out towards the left. Just notice as you breathe the pressure of your belly onto your thigh. Continue to notice the engagement of the belly as you exhale. You can rotate through your ankle if you'd like to, point your toes. Before placing whichever foot you have, and then allowing yourself to then draw the opposite leg in. Option to use the hands here if you haven't been already. You can hug the leg out to the side a little bit if that feels good. I want you to breathe in and out. Try to relax through the shoulders on towards the mat. Maybe more of a grounding feeling. So maybe a little active, but just not enough that we're feeling that the strength is coming from there. So just breathe in and out. Notice the belly against the thigh. Again, you can always rotate through that ankle and wiggle your toes if that feels good. Eventually the left or right foot, whichever one you've got there, will come down. You can begin to sway your legs from side to side. You can try to engage or even imagine just engaging the outer parts of your hips, the outer parts of your glutes, and just notice how that changes the movement, if it changes the sensation throughout the body. Of course, at this time, if you'd like to draw your knees in towards your chest, hands to the backs of the thighs or even the fronts of the shins, you can apply as much pressure as the hands draw down on the legs, pressing the back into the mat. Again, you can rock side to side, front to back, whatever feels good. Always the option to kind of ditch the hands at any point in time while doing some of these movements. Just kind of noticing how it feels, what you notice. All right, go ahead and bring your feet down onto the mat. You can either cross at the ankles actually if you wanted to rock front to back, draw your chin in towards your chest, or if you prefer to maybe roll onto one side, press your hand down into the mat, and then just go ahead and come onto all fours. Allow your toes to be tucked when you come into your all fours. You can always place a blanket under the knees depending on how your knees feel, and also maybe the surface that you're playing around with today. Shoulders relatively stacked. They don't have to be exact. Just kind of find a place that feels good. The broad of the shoulders, maybe the broad of the stance you may have. But again, just kind of play around and see what works for you. Allow your hips to sway side to side. Maybe even press the toes down into the mat a little bit, but then allow the shoulders, chest to lean forward, slight bend in the elbows. Feel the engagement in the core. Maybe rock to the left, shift forward, and rock to the right. Shift forward and over towards the left. All right, untuck your toes, ground them down just a little here. You might even walk your hands back or just shift your shoulders back. Starting a nice cat and cow flow. On your next inhale, you can either round into your cat pose, or maybe you decide to go in for a cow pose, your choice. And then as you exhale, you're just going to reverse the direction of the spine here, reaching either up or allowing it to draw down. And see if you can keep that slight engagement in your core. So enough that you notice the strength that's there, but not enough that you're creating enough tension as maybe you would if you were in maybe a boat or even a plank pose. Add any other movements, maybe hip swing side to side. Option if you decide, you can draw down to the forearms, shoulders stacked over the elbows. You might even take your stance a little bit wider here through the shoulders. You can round, draw the chin towards the chest, and then draw the belly down as the hips and shoulders, chest rise up, gaze can come forward. And then from there, go ahead, make your way back onto all fours. A nice tabletop position if you haven't already. And from here, tucking your toes, slight bend in your elbows, just activate those arms here, biceps and our triceps. And from here, I want you to draw your chin in towards your chest just a little bit. And with control, I want you to inhale, slowly begin to lift your knees. Come almost all the way into your down dog. Exhale, draw the knees slowly back down. If you'd like to widen or close in your stance, hands or your feet, feel free. We're going to do that 3 or 4 more times. So with control, a slight chin tuck here. I want you to peel the knees off the mat. Draw the hips and glutes up with control. At the end of your inhale, or maybe it takes you a couple breaths, I want you to then exhale with control. Tap the knees down. Inhale brings you up and back. Exhale brings you down. All right, one more time. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. All right, so go ahead, walk the hands back, take the knees out a little bit, keep your toes tucked. I want you to rest the glutes, rest the butt back on towards the heels. Might discover you might want to bring your knees out or maybe in a little bit, totally up to you. Kind of want you just to rock forward, lift the glutes a little bit off of the heels, lower them down. And the idea of thinking about engaging the core, so you're exhaling as you lift, and inhale as you lower. And coming up. And back. All right, go ahead and come up. And come forward, bring your hands down. Walk your knees in, sway your hips from side to side. Even option to kind of place your feet down one at a time, tops of the feet onto the mat if that feels good. Wiggle out your toes. All right, from here, tuck your toes. We're gonna do one more time with that slow lift into your downward facing dog, where then I would like for you to stay if you choose. When you're ready, slight bend in your elbows. Inhale, peel the knees, and all the way back. All right, pedal your feet, rock your hips, discover what feels good. Maybe you're not even feeling down dog today. You can come on to all fours. Come to your forearms. Take your feet wide, take your toes together. Whatever feels good. As much movement as you need. Always the option to come forward to a plank or up dog if that feels good. Lifting one hand or one foot. All right, okay, so down dog. You might want to take your feet a little bit wider. You don't have to, of course, and you know you can always adjust around as you need to. So from here, nice bend in your knees. Nice engagement here in the back of the legs. So those hamstrings, notice your glutes here. Chin in towards the chest, allow your neck to feel slightly relaxed, but still stable, still nice. And then I want you to go ahead and walk your hands back, just about one handprint. Tap your right fingertips on towards your left leg, and then right hand down, back to where it was. Left hand reaches over towards the right, and left hand comes back down. Walk the hands back to where your more traditional down dog was. Right hand reaches towards the left foot. So we're crossing underneath the body and returning the hand back. Left hand then repeats that movement and the hand comes back. Walk the right hand back about one hand print, the left hand about one hand print. Right hand reaches over, underneath, and back. Left, over, and back. Bring it down. Walk those hands forward, back to that down dog. Right hand, left leg. Right hand back, left hand, right leg. Left hand back, walk those hands about one hand print closer towards you. Right hand, left leg. Right hand back, left hand, right leg. Allow yourself to breathe. All right, one more time. Take it as fast or as slow as you'd like. The hands walk forward. The arms reach back. This last time, the hands walk one print forward, or close towards you. One last time as you reach the hands under and back. Maybe feeling those calves a little bit. And then bring your hands back to that position and slowly start to walk back. Drop the hips and glutes down. Point the toes out. Malasana. Deep squat. If you have a block or a book, a blanket, whatever, you're more than welcome to use that if you'd like to. Don't have to though. So maybe the hands come down, and this is also a great place for a block too if you wanted to, or like I said, a book. If you had like a table, or like I said, a couch next to you, anything that can place your hand onto it. And I just want you to kind of sway from side to side and just notice what it is going on, like as you do this pose. Something feel kind of tight. Do you have any pain kind of sensations coming through? Does this have like a feel good effect? Does this feel nice for you? And just notice. All right. So if you're not towards the back of your mat, just kind of making your way there, but not super important. You're gonna then start to find a little bit more of that core engagement. Plant your hands down, start to walk forward into a nice plank pose or walking back, allowing your knees to come down. So nice kneeling plank here. Take notice of your hands, shoulders stacked-ish. Again, maybe a little wider if that feels good. Slight bend in those elbows. So active glutes, active butt here. Nice and strong inner thighs. From here, right leg extends out towards the right. I want you to extend the left leg towards the back of the mat. Allow the bottom of the foot to come kind of flat or as flat as you can get it. And then side plank, lift the left hand, but also lift the left leg. So the heel can be flexed, the toes can be pointed. Your foot can be pretty relaxed here. Lower the left foot down. And lift it up. And lower it down. And lift it up. From here, come back into your kneeling plank. Take a moment or two, finding that nice stable, strong position. Slight bend in those elbows. Allow yourself to breathe. Before, when you're ready, extend the left leg out towards the left side. So you're reaching the right leg towards the back of your mat. So you're trying to get your right foot flat onto the mat, but maybe you're rolled up onto the inner part of the foot. Right arm extends all the way up, and right leg comes up with it. A couple times here, allowing the foot to come down, and bringing the foot up, and bringing the foot down, and bringing the foot up. One more time, because I never know or never count correctly. Bring the foot up, and then back into that nice kneeling plank here as you bring both knees down. Shift the shoulders, stacking relatively close over the wrist. Nice and strong. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. Breathe it out. Know that all fours or child's pose is a great position. That feels good for you here. All right, find a little bit of stillness here. Soft bend in the elbows. Draw the chin in towards the chest. Left hand walks back, one hand print. Right hand walks back, one hand print. Left hand underneath, tap the shin or the foot, and bring it down. Right hand underneath, tap the left shin, and bring it down. Walk the hands forward, left and right. Left hand reaches underneath and back. Bringing it back down before starting the right hand, lifting, reaching back, and bringing it down. Left hand back about one hand print, right hand, left hand reaches back, returns towards the top of the mat, following the right hand, same movement, bringing the hands back. Walk forward, we're gonna do this one more time. Left hand taps the shin, left hand taps down. Right hand taps the shin, right hand taps down. All right, last set, walk the hands in just a bit. Left hand lifts, and left hand lowers. Take your time, right hand, and left hand. So the hands are staying there. You're starting to walk yourself back as you turn the toes out. Engage your glutes, your hamstrings, as you control yourself down into a nice deep squat. Maybe you like deep squat with the hands down. Maybe you like it with a block. That's totally up to you. Nice and strong here. When you're ready, I want you to go ahead, plant into your feet, knowing that you can use any props you have with you, even hands down to the mat, as you then push all the way up. Reach the arms above the head. Hands come towards the heart. Thumbs towards the chest. Adjust into a nice traditional more so mountain pose. Feet can be about hip width, a little bit wider than that if that feels good for you. Just notice how it feels to be standing more upright here. Notice how your toes feel. Do you feel the same sensation throughout all of your toes in this upright position? What do you notice about your ankles? Can you give a slight bend into your knees? Big inhale, reach the arms all the way up. And palms together as you bring the hands down. I want you to bend your knees and sink into your chair pose. I want you to notice the weight in your heels. This pose does create a little bit more weight in the heels here, but I also want you to bring some noticing or some focus onto the weight into the rest of your feet, the toes, the balls of the feet, the outer edges, and almost think about how the balls of the feet maybe can be the lightest point touching onto your mat. You're feeling this nice grounding through the big toes, following it all to the pinky toe. Shift your knees back just a little bit if that feels good. And then maybe you even sink down a little bit more. Nice and strong here. Notice if you're taking strength, over strength, getting through your low back, and see if you can engage throughout your core just a little bit more. So this area of the low belly. Almost cat backing a little bit here. Nice and strong. Stand tall, inhale. Palms stay together as the thumbs reach back and the hips slightly reach forward. And then bring those hands back towards the heart. Take a moment here. Inhale. And exhale. And then from here, we're going to step into our warrior one. So we're going to step our left foot forward first, right foot back. So left toes point towards the top of the mat. Kind of create two lanes here, unless you prefer more traditional warrior two or warrior one. I'm sorry, feel free. So left foot, left side of the mat, right foot, right side of the mat. And then about a 45-degree angle here. So if you're in like a square room, I guess it would be dependent on where you are, but maybe like the right-ish corner of your room is kind of where you want your toes to be. Your hands can come to your hips. And not as a movement to get your hips to stay in this place, but just to notice how it feels. So if your left hand's on your left hip and your right hand's on your right hip, and you shift your left hip back, your right hip forward, and then kind of bring it back to that position it was in the beginning. And just how does that feel? And then can you kind of find a middle place or a nice spot where it feels good for your hips? Do you need to widen your stance? From there, arms can extend all the way up as the pinkies draw in. Gaze can go towards where the ceiling and the wall meet, or even up towards those pinkies. Nice and strong here. If that's a little too much for the neck, just bring the chin down. Breathe. Find grounding throughout the left foot, and then press into the outer edge of your right foot. Notice the right heel. Nice and strong. We're going to bring our hands to our heart. Maybe move your back foot in just a little bit to prepare for your warrior three. Come onto the right toes. Keep a slight bend in towards your front leg. And then from there, begin to slowly lift the right leg up. So a couple options for the hands. They can be placed onto the thigh, hands towards the heart, even on towards the hips, arms extended back, and even arms forward. Just picking a variation that feels good for you. And then I want you to go into what I'm gonna call a flying warrior two. So I want you to reach your left arm forward, your right arm back, and then I want you to kind of turn your right toes out just a little bit, and then maybe even lift the right foot a little bit more, but keep a great bend in that left knee. Now we're gonna ground our warrior two by bending into the front knee and planting the back foot down. Take a moment here. Warrior two, one of our wider stance poses here. So relax into those left toes, draw the left knee out just a tad bit, engage the outer part of the left glute, the outer part of the left thigh here. And then again, still keeping that engagement throughout the entire thigh, but just taking a little bit of notice there. Nice and strong. Sinking into the knee just a little bit more, and maybe even having to push the foot forward just a bit. So we're creating strength in the thigh, not necessarily pushing into the knee. I want you to then start to straighten through your front leg, bend back to the front knee. Straighten through the front leg, and bend through the front knee. All right, straighten through the leg. Bring the toes up off the mat here. I want you to turn your right toes out just a little bit more, bend into your right knee. So left hand is gonna stay out, right hand's gonna come onto the belly. So left heel up, slight bend in that front knee, left hand reaches forward, still in that almost warrior two position, but you can turn the palm facing in if you wanted to, hand onto the belly. And then if you want to, you can kind of adjust your back foot, sink down a little bit more. Find some strength, find some stability here. Allow yourself to breathe. Back to your warrior two. Nice and strong here. Straighten the front leg, walk the back heel in, step forward, twist a little here so that you come back into your chair. So take your time getting there. A little weird of a transition. Palms together, stand tall, press the hips slightly forward, engage the glute. Bring the hands towards the heart. Step the feet out, toes point out. Big inhale, reach all the way up. And exhale with control, bring your hands down. Start to move the glutes, the hips down to that nice deep squat. Hands plant down, maybe you're a little more forward on your mat, maybe a little back. I just want you to go ahead and walk yourself back, walk yourself forward, coming into a nice plank, knowing that kneeling plank is always an option. Knees can be up or down. Side plank if you choose, full or kneeling. So again, that right knee can come down, extend the leg out, left leg reaches towards the back of the mat as the left arm lifts, maybe inviting that variation where the left leg is lifted. Or if you're coming from a full plank here, maybe even push into the hands, shift back a little, and then begin to allow that nice movement. Maybe stack the feet, one from the other, whatever feels good. You're gonna come back to that nice plank pose, kneeling or full expression, before then moving into that side plank on the other side. So again, the left leg can extend out to the left, you can extend the right leg out. Maybe if you came from a traditional plank pose, you're gonna press into the hands just a little, and then from there, you're gonna likely move your feet first, and maybe have a one foot stack from the other. Go ahead, come back to the plank, and into your downward dog. And pedal the feet, rock the hips. If you're familiar with the traditional vinyasa and you'd like to take one, you're more than welcome. If you're working on any arm balance inversion, feel free. If you'd like to keep your toes tucked, come down, knees wide, maybe grab some water or even come onto all fours, more than welcome to do so. All I ask is that you breathe. regardless if you chose one of the options that I spelled out or one that I did not and is calling you. Eventually, whenever you decide to, no rush. And then be backing that downward facing dog. And maybe allowing a little bit of a wider stance here. Nodding the head yes, and shaking the head no. All right, when you're ready, take your time. We're gonna go through this one more time, one more round here. I want you to walk your right hand, one handprint back, your left hand back one print, and then reach your right hand towards your left foot, right hand down, left hand over towards your right, and left hand down. Walk the hands forward. Same thing, right hand towards your left, right hand down, left hand towards your right. Coming back down, walk your hands back. Left hand starts out this time towards your right side. Left hand comes back. Right hand over towards the left and come back. Left hand walks forward. Right hand walks forward. Right hand works its way back. Comes back down. Left hand reaches its way back and comes back down. All right, one more time. Walk the hands back one print. Reach each hand underneath, tapping on towards the shin. Hands will come back into it. It was that more shorter stance down dog. Walk the hands continuously back as you then bend into your knees, toes point out, come into a nice deep squat. Push the arms in towards the legs. Allow the palms to press in towards one another. Fingers spread wide. And when you're ready, you can take a nice big inhale. Reach all the way up. Adjust the feet, hands to the heart. Exhale, release down. Take a moment. Just notice how it feels to come more upright onto your mat. Notice your toes here. What feels good, where you feel a little sensation. If you'd like to rotate through your wrist a little bit, we've done definitely a decent amount on our wrist. Feel free to do so. And then from here, we're going to step into our warrior one, but this time with our right foot forward and our left foot stepping back. So it'll depend a little bit on your mat placement here. So right toes will be pointed forward. And again, it's the idea that if you're going into a more traditional warrior one, that's great. I'm going to cue more of a warrior one that has two planes here, or two lanes, I guess you could call it, two. So right foot on the right side of the mat and then left foot on the left. And so it's not as a wide a stance as a warrior two. It can be, but it tends to be a little bit shorter. And then from there, the knee stacked over the equal-ish. You can go a little further, a little bit back if that feels a little bit better for you. And the hands come towards the hips. So you're pressing into the outer part of that left foot, and I kind of want you to have your hands on each hip, and then draw the right hip back, left hip forward, and then bring it back to like that place where it was, that starting point. And just notice, so you want to keep some engagement here. Keep some engagement in the glutes. Kind of notice what's going on. Keep some engagement through the low belly here. Chest tall, and then kind of find a place in between, maybe even shifting the feet a little bit where it feels good, like your warrior one, we could call it. And then from there, there's a couple options for arms. More traditional is arms extended up with the pinkies turned in. Hands can always be placed at the heart. Find strength through the low belly. Nice and strong, relax into those front toes. You might even bend the right knee a little bit more. Again, take notice of those hips. Are they feeling good? Did it feel better to kind of shift them? And can you keep those glutes engaged? Preparing for that warrior three, hands come towards the heart. If you choose, you can even walk the back foot in or even come onto those toes. And then want you to find a focal point forward as you begin to lift the back leg off the mat. So you can keep a bend in the back knee if that feels good. You can keep it extended, but definitely keeping a nice, generous bend in your front leg, right knee here. And then we're coming into what we're calling that floating warrior two. Like, I don't even know if that's really a thing, but right arm extends out and left arm extends back. And then you can kind of turn your toes out so they're kind of moving towards the back of the mat a little bit, if that makes sense. And you're still keeping that nice bend into your right knee. And then we're gonna ground our warrior two by planting the foot down. Nice bend. So again, more of a wider stance pose here. Not the widest, but no wider. A nice extension of the arms. And then from here, I want you to straighten through the leg and bend through the knee. And straighten through the leg and bend through the knee. And then maybe do it about 1 or 2 more times. You come back into that warrior 2, nice and strong, relax into your foot here, find that nice grounding sensation. Gazes forward. You're gonna then bring your left hand towards the front. You're gonna step forward and come into your chair. Sink down. This time extend your arms back. 2 ways here if you'd like to come into your arms, if you'd like to pick an option. So you can bring the palms facing in, so almost imagining you're holding on to something, and ideally you could. And you could press actively into that imaginary or real item. Or if you wanted, you could keep the palms facing down, lifting through the tops of the hands, whatever feels good. So either way, however you decide to choose or decide to be, I want you to pulse through the arms, so lift up, bring it back, up, and back, reach them up, and back, reach them. I guess I could say it the other way, reach it back, and then bring it towards its neutral place. So just allow the arms to reach behind you, bring them down. So you're actively still hugging the arms in towards one another while moving them up and down. And then go ahead, reach them back, press into the feet, stand tall, reach the arms, palms together, thumbs reach back, slight back bend, and exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Prepare for that nice Balasana. Step your feet out, shift your feet into a little bit here. So we're finding that nice integrity, this control with the body as we then lower ourselves down. Based on where you are on your mat, we'll place your hands down. You might have to walk them forward, and then from there, you're walking your feet back. Coming into that nice plank, whether it be a full expression or your kneeling plank. From here, we're going to go through our side planks one more time, starting with right or left, your choice. Allowing the knee to be down or allowing both legs to be extended, whatever feels good. And allowing yourself to breathe. In and out. In and out, back to your plank. Taking a moment, maybe even pedaling the feet. Before deciding, kneeling or full expression of your side plank. Nice integrity, nice strength throughout the entire body here. Enough strength to notice, but maybe not enough to quite cause a lot of tension, although holding this long enough, everything feels shaky. Okay, I'll be quiet now. Come back down. Tuck your toes. Take your knees out just a little bit. Walk your hands back. Sink your glutes back on towards your heels. Yep, your heels, your toes, your feet. Nice and strong here. All right, so thinking about the core engagement here, actually let's start with a little bit of a breathing exercise. And if at any point in time you want to bring your feet down, you're more than welcome. Or if you wanted to, if you have a blanket, you could open it up and bring your knees down on there if you wanted. Okay. Same idea if you have a block or a chair or a couch or something next to you that you would like to use. I want you for right now to bring your hands on towards your belly, low belly maybe, and I want you to take a nice big inhale. Notice the belly pressing into the hands. And then as you exhale, notice how the belly retracts in and just notice the strength that you feel here. And then inhale. And exhale. And this time as you inhale, hold. And as you exhale, hold. Inhale, I want you to lift the knees, rock back onto your feet. So the first couple times you might like roll back or you might need to push your hand down onto the floor. That's okay. I've been practicing this today just so I could demonstrate it a little bit better. And then from there, hands can be free or hands can be somewhere placed onto a block or onto a couch or onto a chair. I want you to, with control, bring your knees down. And I just want you to do that 3 times. You can follow with me along or you don't have to. So I want you to think about this idea that you're engaging throughout the core. You're finding strength here. Hands can be free or hands can be placed. And I want you to then lift up. You're also finding some strength in your ankles and your feet here too. And then with control, lower your knees down. And then one more time, again, using the hand, if you'd like, place somewhere. Engage through the core, come back. yourself down. All right, come on to all fours. Tops of the feet onto the mat, rotate through the ankles. Okay, swing your feet around, find yourself seated. Feet flat, knees bent, feet might be flat-ish. It'll depend a little bit. All right, last little part here before we get to more relaxing part of class. All right, so I want you to nice bend in your knees. Feel the activation of your hips here, your hip flexors. Also try to see if you can draw in strength to your low belly. Arms can reach forward. So even though the arms are reaching forward and you feel strong throughout the chest, notice if you can pull strength up from your back, and also notice the low belly again here. Inner thighs, outer thighs are working here. And then fingertips are gonna come to the back of the head, and you might lean back just a little bit here. So we're coming into like a modified boat. And then from here, right elbow is gonna touch towards that left knee as you lift the left foot off the mat. Releasing back down. Left elbow towards the right knee, arm comes back, foot relaxes down. And just doing that a few times. Trying to keep the chest lifted, trying to breathe, and just noticing the strength. Maybe hitting yoga right now, or even me, and that's okay too. Holding, once again, lifting up, reaching forward. Right arm up and back, twist, gaze past the right thumb. Up and over, left hand, up and back. You can even rest your right hand onto your right knee. Lift it up. A couple more times. So a nice twist here. So left hand can be resting onto the knee, right hand is back. Right hand comes in, rests on the inner part of the leg. The left hand is back. All right, come back. Feet in, butterfly, palms of the feet together. You can do a butterfly or a cobbler. There's a lot of variations, I guess, a lot of names for these. So heels can be drawn in as much or as close to the body as you allow, or if you're looking to draw the legs out a little bit further, and maybe not the furthest you can get them out, but maybe just noticeably further than what you normally do for your traditional butterfly. And from here, I'd like for you to engage your inner thighs and lift your knees in, and then relax them down. Engage those inner thighs. Relax them down. And then one more time. And then relax them in. All right, so I want you to think again about almost like cat backing. So just a slight rounding of the back, chin in towards the chest. And then I want you to engage through the low belly, so just find a little bit of strength and stability there. And then you can even place one hand on the chest if you wanted to, or just visualize the chest and then actually do it, moving forward. Notice when you start to feel a slight sensation in your low back, and then I want you to back off a little bit. From there, arms are gonna place down, so it'll be the forearms or the actual hand, and they'll either place on the inner parts of the legs, pressing down, or if the hands, you can press onto the inner thighs. And so it's not meant to be like a super crazy sensation unless maybe you're feeling a little tight. And then from there, I want you to go ahead and move the hands to the outer parts of the legs here. Walk both of the feet in, walk them wide, and then shift the legs from side to side. Can you keep a slight engagement through your glutes and a little bit throughout your hips as you allow this movement to come side to side? If you wanted from here, you could bring both legs over towards one side. I'm gonna go to my left because it's gonna be a better way for me to demonstrate. And then from here, if you think about it, I want you to turn your body so you're facing towards the back of your mat. Ideally, your left forearm or your left hand is gonna come down first. You might even be off your mat. And then your right arm, I just want you to reach over your left arm, past it a little bit, and notice a nice stretch throughout the side body. If you wanted, you could kind of do a cactus arm with that right hand by drawing it back. And then you could move into a nice stretch. So if this is a little bit too much for the back, you can stay here. Allow the right hand to relax down. You You might even stack the knees a little bit, whatever feels good, or you might even reach the right leg back a little bit more. That feels decent for me personally, but again, I want you to kind of come into something that feels nice for you. And then eventually you'll push yourself up, you'll shift your knees towards the other side. So again, when your knees are down, you're kind of at this angle where you're looking forward but off towards one side. And then I want you to allow a little bit more of a twist. Your right arm, your right hand is likely to come down. Maybe it's just the forearm, but maybe your forehead's down. And then from there, I want you to go ahead, reach your left hand over the right arm, almost hanging over the head a little bit. And then you're gonna cactus the left arm, drawing the arm, shoulder back. So this definitely is not like an actual yoga pose. And it might feel good for some and not for all. So like I said, if it feels better to kind of stay still, notice how this feels in your back, that's cool too. You don't always have to include movement. And then whenever you're ready, no rush, take your time. If you'd like to grab water or do any other movements from a more seated position, you're more than welcome. But from there, we'll go on to our backs. Drawing your knees into your chest if that feels good. I don't think I did any forward folds. So if you're looking for a little bit of a hamstring stretch or a little release there, you can plant one foot down, doesn't matter which one. Extend the opposite leg up. Hands can be placed anywhere along the leg. That feels good. I'm going to invite you for today to come to a place in this posture where you first start to feel it and then stay there. So if extending the leg up is enough to notice the hamstring, I invite you to stay there. I'm not saying you have to, I'm just suggesting it. And then if you wanted, that wasn't quite giving you any sensation, and then maybe you hug the leg in or even out, feel free to do so. So no matter where you decide you want your leg, maybe you extend the right leg out, just bring it to a place where you first start to notice a slight stretch or sensation. And then just know that you can always switch sides whenever you're ready. There's absolutely no rush. Extend the leg. And again, maybe it's the extended leg up. That feels good. Maybe you extend the left leg. Maybe the hand's placed here. So whatever feels good for you. And then from here, bring your feet down. Feet can be flat or legs can be long. Bring your arms out to a T. We're just going to do one more last little movement here. Reach your right arm all the way up towards the ceiling, and then reach the right arm over towards the left arm. You may reach your left hand, or you may be something like me where you're reaching more towards your elbow or your forearm, and then reach all the way up, and then back out to a T. 2 more times. Inhale, reach the right arm all the way up, and over towards the left arm. Reach. Inhale, reaching up, and exhaling down. And last time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, reach you over, and then you can exhale back. And whenever you're ready, left arm up and over, reach. Inhale, back up and down. And 2 more times. Inhale, lift and reach. And then inhale and release back down. And 1 more time. Lifting up and reaching over. And lifting up and releasing down. Any other movement that feels good, please allow yourself to do so. At this time, if you'd like to prepare for your final relaxation or your Shavasana, I want you to also feel free. Knowing that you can always come to a seated position. If you're in your room, you might even cozy up on your couch or even on your bed. Maybe you find a nice empty wall space in your house and you kick your legs up the wall, or even drape your legs over a chair, even a couch, by bending your knees. And just like the beginning of class, once you get to this place where you find some stillness, start to just notice how you're feeling, the thoughts that may or may not arise, any sounds you may be hearing, and sensations felt throughout the body. Any areas of tension or places that feel good. And then begin to tap into the breath. Just notice each inhale and each exhale. Does the breath seem to flow a little easier now? Do you notice the expansion, the rise, the relaxation of your body as you breathe in? Can you feel a sense of grounding, a sense of stability with each exhale? And just continue this rhythm of following each inhale and following each exhale. Allowing each exhale to be a little bit longer than your inhale. Not only noticing the belly, but also the ribs and also the chest and a little bit of the shoulders. Can you notice the breath throughout the backside of the body? The subtle movement of the back pressing down a little more into the surface. The slight lift, the slight arch as you breathe throughout the backside of the body. Relaxing throughout the face, allowing the jaw and the tongue to find a place that feels good. And almost imagining maybe 2 heavy rocks on the palms of the hands to create a little bit more grounding. But knowing you can remove those rocks at any point in time. Continue here for the next 2 minutes, enjoying the rest of your final relaxation. Five more slow and long inhale, followed by slower and longer exhales. pace, own flow. Finishing up, or maybe you finished already, taking your time. Maybe inviting some movement. Maybe it's a simple blinking, open of the eyes. Maybe it's a wiggling of the fingers or the toes. Maybe it's more mental, emotional, a thought or a phrase. Maybe hugging the knees in towards your chest, or even extending the arms and legs out super long, almost like imagining that morning stretch many of us like to take when we first wake up, or at least throughout the beginning of the day. And then just slowly in your own way and own time, making your way to a nice seated position, but knowing that you can always end on your back if that feels more comfortable for you. Seated position of your choosing, bringing the hands towards the heart, drawing the thumbs in towards the chest. Taking the gaze down towards the fingertips and maybe even feeling the thumbs resting onto the chest here. Pressing enough into the hands that you notice, but not enough to create any shaking here. Swaying left and right, or even front and back. Before finding that nice center, that nice middle place. Moment of gratitude for yourself. Deep breath in and deep breath out. And gently closing the eyes. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. As always, my pleasure. Thank you so much. Truly am super thankful for your support. You have no idea. And yeah, that's that.